Hello, it's been a while since my last video on the E12 M535. I did the previous video during COVID and had some spare time, obviously. I wanted to do an update and share a couple things. Number one, the car's been to some car shows and has done very well in those. Nothing major, we're not talking Pebble Beach, but it's certainly getting more attention. Given the nostalgia for 80s cars and Radwood stuff, as well as just BMW motorsport history in general. Number two, I wanted to update on some work that I've done to the E12 in the past 3 or so years. Most of it's visible underneath, but I'll talk about a couple of significant updates. And then third, just what's kind of ahead and what am I thinking still is out there to be done. I wish it were not a constant project, and it really isn't. I enjoy driving it, but there are some things that are still left undone, and I'm still checking things off the list slowly but surely. So let's put it up on the lift and I'll point out some updates. Okay, we'll start with the front. This is kind of not that interesting, but take my word for it. The car had some leaks the last time around. I had a leak by the upper and lower front timing chain covers where the head and the block came together. The motor's been completely taken apart again, resealed. Didn't need a rebuild because I'd done that years ago. But got the head and a new head gasket installed and got that opening correct so it's not leaking anymore. That was a pretty big job, and the car was down for about a month. That was, I believe, 3 years ago, right after I did that video. What I wanted to point out here that I'm particularly proud of that I installed was the exhaust bracket was broken off on the original exhaust. There was just kind of this half of that bracket you see there coming off the exhaust with a really bad weld on there. When I put in this new OEM exhaust after the restoration, I had to track down this bracket. My friend Tony and his crew at Motorworks BMW in Minnesota, Bloomington, they tracked the bracket down, got it fabricated so that we got the right attachment on the back of the trans there, got it all welded in, and now there's just a better anchor point there for the exhaust, and looks really nice and finished as it should be from the factory. The other thing that I added was this bracket from a later E28, thanks to Chris Kohler for helping me track down what I needed here. But the stock trans, the close ratio, only has a motor mount on one side, a transmission mount on one side. And it just always bugged me with the torque this car has that you would have a transmission mount on one side and not the other. But there are two ears on the transmission, so it always begged the question, why was there not a better, stronger mount, metal mount across with two rubber mounts isolating the transmission? So this is from an E28 and it fits perfectly. I actually installed this myself, very easy to do. And I feel better knowing that there's this additional strength with the torque this engine has and when you get on it. Moving back, the most recent change, and I'm just getting the car back from this. Yes, I know there were some leaks in the transmission, by the way. That's another story. When I did the restoration, I did not do anything with the diff other than I think I topped off the diff fluid because I had done it recently before the transmission, but I have red line fluid in there. What I did this time was I said, number one, it was just kind of bugging me with this beautiful black powder coated subframe to have this rusty diff case there, but also the diff had never been taken apart, bearings checked, clutch packs and the limited slip checked, any of that. So I had this completely disassembled, rebuilt, new limited slip clutch packs, new bearings. The half shafts were also gone through and repacked and just really shined up, I guess is what I would say. And then the diff case was painted black and everything put back together. So it really looks just incredible underneath, I think, because it looks like a full restoration now. And I'm very happy with the work they did. They took a lot of care in this. It was difficult to track down parts with all the seals, the output flange seals for the diff through Ireland Engineering. Thank you very much. And we got this back together. And the new clutch packs are in there too. So that's the tour of really what's gone on with the car since I did the original video. I will get a picture of, there's a new rebuilt alternator in there as well. That was another ordeal because we weren't able to find another alternator for the E12 anymore. And I'll get a picture of that and then we'll talk about what's next. Here's a picture of the new alternator. I know it may not be that exciting, but for me it is, just because getting the right fitment was very challenging. They're not available anymore, and they had to put something together with a E28 alternator and putting the core out of the original alternator from this car in there. It was quite a bit of work. Also, I think since the last update, this coolant reservoir is brand new. They put that in when they resealed the engine. And yes, I don't have the strut tower brace in. I still have the K-Mac camber plates in. Strut tower brace does not fit well with the length of these bolts on the shock mounts, and I just haven't done anything about it. It's one of those things on the to-do list. Other things on the to-do list: getting the carpet to fit better here. When I put the carpet back in, I didn't keep the original padding because it was rotten and falling apart. And so the padding's not high enough, so the carpet's not sitting right there. So I want to get that taken out, get that fixed. What else? Oh, the sunroof was fixed too. That works now since the last video. Tires getting old now. It's hard to believe it's been this long, but the tires are 2016 date codes, so I'm gonna need to think about replacing those at some point. Did a little work to get this fuel door to fit better than it did before. There was a spacer in there that was missing after the restoration. There's still miscellaneous fasteners inside, some things on the trim that on the door panels that I'd like to get fixed or replaced. Thinking about getting these cadmium coated. They still are pretty rough looking. I just put them back on as is after the restoration. Oh, I had this created. This is from I&D in Chicago. These nice little stickers you can get for your car that talk about what it is and the rarity. Put in there the VIN number, that it's number 18. Yeah, that's kind of it. What's it been like to own it, though, in this time? Well, the car gets a lot of looks. A lot of thumbs up. Today, I got a thumbs up from a guy in a delivery truck, honked at me and waved. People stare, people ask me, what year it is, all the usual stuff. A lot of 80s nostalgia, obviously, with cars like this, but I think the livery with the M stripes certainly is attention-getting. It was at the BMW dealer for this work with the diff, and a lot of attention there in the service bay amongst other plain Jane type commuter lease vehicles with all manner of, SUVs and stuff that BMW is producing now. This thing really sticks out quite a bit there. It's won a couple of awards. I've got them over here. Sorry for the junk on the shelf, but at the BMW Concours last fall. This Concours to Minnesota sort of Nordfest thing they did. It got People's Choice, so that felt great. I really appreciated that. Same thing, but just the picnic that they had in 2021. They had a little car show, and it also got the best overall. And then there was a 80s car show that we had here in Minnesota. I highly recommend it. Back to the 80s. I had it there in 2022, and it got first place for best Euro import. There were a lot of people asking questions about it. So all in all, I still love the car, enjoy it thoroughly, and I plan to keep it. I just celebrated the 20-year anniversary since I got the car in 2003. So that's an update. I hope this was helpful and insightful, and others out there, if you have an E12 M535 or any E12, hit me up in the comments. Still have a few things to do too with the fuel gauge is not working. We can't get a fuel sender because they're not available anymore. So I'm going to be on the lookout for one of those, trying to track one down. If you have any ideas, please send them my way.